a lot of people down.
Well, I made mistakes, and of course, it's an embarrassment. And the worst thing is having people having to explain what has happened, and it lasted so long. But the nightmare is over. And I think that when the record is understood, that they would know that Rangel was about as honest as they come, worked hard, made mistakes. And I do believe that the final results as it relates to a censure was political. And I don't think any reporter would say that this wasn't a new and different standard.
All right, let's go through them because, you know, a lot of people, especially when you were the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, they held you to a very high standard, and especially on tax-related issues, which your committee is in charge of. And that should be, members of Congress, especially senior members, should be setting an example for the younger members. And so there's no excuse at all, and I'm not blaming anyone except myself. I just wanted to make it abundantly clear that there's nothing in the record that shows that I deliberately tried to deceive anyone in terms of financial holdings or taxes. Well, let's go through specifically. One of the charges that you improperly solicited millions of dollars from lobbyists for the Charles B. Rangel Center for Public Service at the City College of New York. That this was inappropriate for a sitting member of Congress, especially a chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, to raise millions of dollars from lobbyists for this City University of New York.
Had I had applied to the House rules, no one challenges that that provision would have been waived, and I, like so many members of the House...
Why didn't you? Why didn't you?
Because my office and I did not know it would be against the House rules to go to foundations that had set up themselves.
But these weren't just foundations. These were lobbyists who dealt with your committee.
No. You keep saying lobbyists, and I keep saying that most of these letters were sent out to foundations, and that this is all I had to do was to have staff and I pay attention.
So this was sloppy.
Get the waiver.
That's what you're saying was sloppy.
I don't even say it was sloppy. It was my negligence in not checking the rules before I sent out these letters.
All right, let's talk about the next allegation. Failing to disclose hundreds of thousands of dollars of income and assets on financial disclosure forms.
Well, one thing is clear, that when I signed certain things, I relied on other people. That's where I made the mistake. But there's no inference or evidence I was trying to hide anything, because if you look at all of the forms and see where it was not disclosed, there's other public forms where it was disclosed. And so there's no evidence that I had something.
But you didn't personally take a look at, see what your staff or your accountants were submitting on your behalf?
I, like so many others, when they say it's time to file your disclosures, and I said, did you look over it? They say yes, and I signed it. Wolf, the reason that I'm taking full responsibility is that things that we do that are so busy, there's no real legitimate excuse for it. But heck, everything that your chief of staff brings to you, you ask that you look at it, they say yes.
Let's go to the next allegation that you were, I guess they convicted of. You don't like that phrase?
I don't like that phrase.
But they voted.
It means it was a crime.
They voted that you were wrong in maintaining a rent-stabilized apartment that you used for campaign in Manhattan, in Harlem.
The facts are abundantly clear, and I hope I can invite your viewers to go to the website, the ethics website, my website, any website, and take a look at the support that they had for us. One thing is clear. New York City and state lawyers that operate the stabilization program indicate Rangel and the landlord broke no rent stabilization laws. They say that I violated the lease because my son was put on there. First of all, the landlord knew exactly what was happening. This apartment had been vacant. He wanted it filled. He knew it was for an office, by a campaign check. And so why would they include that? They would say in the allegation that it appeared as though I was receiving, a benefit from the landlord.
Which would be a violation of the House rules.
It would be, but where was if the landlord got paid maximum rent and I had not violated the stabilization laws, why would it look like it's so subjective that I can't argue with them how it appeared, but appeared to whom?
I think the most serious charge, at least in the public, was the failure to pay income taxes on this villa that you owned in the Dominican Republic. And we've all seen that picture of you lying on that chaise lounge in the Dominican Republic. Why didn't you pay income tax on that?
Well, if I told you I did pay income tax on that, the next question is then why? This was in the Dominican Republic. The whole transaction was that if and when it made profit, those profits would not come directly to me. That these profits would go directly to the reduction of the mortgage. And so the building was supposed to be worth an $80,000 villa, and I paid $30,000, and it took 20 years for the $50,000 to ultimately be paid. Because I did not receive any cash contribution, because the non-cash contribution was the reduction of the mortgage, the taxes that were taken out were paid to the Dominican Republic.
But as chairman of the Ways and Means Committee or a ranking member, you're in charge of writing the tax laws. You should have known that you had an obligation to the IRS as well.
There is no question that the accountant, had they known that the reduction of the mortgage was in fact a cash reduction and should have been reported. The fact is that, hey, if you're saying, should I have known? Yes. Should I have been censured? I say no.
But at least this conversation, Congressman, that we're having, it seems, and I want to give you a chance to respond to this, you're blaming your staff, you're blaming your accountants, but you're not really blaming yourself.
I am trying to say as clear as I can that there's no one else to blame except myself.